The twin suns of Valara rose slowly over the crystalline towers of the capital city, painting the streets with golden and violet light. The air shimmered with energy, a reminder of the planet's advanced technology and the power of its people. Among the busy streets and floating vehicles, Leora walked with measured steps. She was a young officer of the Valaran Guard, known for her sharp mind and unmatched agility. Her uniform gleamed under the sunlight, each insignia representing years of training and dedication. Yet despite her achievements, a quiet unease followed her everywhere. For Valarans, bonding was not just a tradition, it was a way of life. Every adult eventually chose a partner to bond with, forming a connection that lasted a lifetime. These bonds were sacred, designed to strengthen trust, communication, and emotional balance. But Leora had hesitated. Many of her friends had already bonded with Valarans, each one glowing with the pride and confidence their connection gave them. Leora, however, had not found a partner she could truly trust, and the thought of bonding with a human, a species known for its unpredictability and raw emotions, seemed impossible. Her hesitation was more than a personal choice. It was a burden. The council often whispered about her reluctance, questioning her judgment. Leora did not care for their opinions. She preferred to rely on her own instincts, her training, and her mind. Humans were visitors to Valara only rarely, and the council had decided to host a delegation to discuss potential alliances. This event would bring her face to face with the being she had long avoided. The announcement came over the central broadcast. The human delegation would arrive within the week. Leora was assigned as the liaison officer, responsible for guiding them through the city, ensuring their safety, and observing their behavior. She stiffened as she read the directive. This was her chance to face humans directly, yet the thought did not excite her. It made her anxious. When the day arrived, Leora stood at the landing platform, her eyes scanning the sky for the sleek human vessels. The hum of their engines was different from Velaran technology, heavier and less refined, but efficient. She noticed their compact design and the way they glided through the air, bringing a sense of purpose and determination with them. As the hatch opened, a group of humans stepped out, their uniforms dusty from long travel, their faces showing signs of both fatigue and curiosity. Among them, one human stood out. Tall, with broad shoulders and an upright posture, he carried himself with a calm authority that immediately drew Leora's attention. His eyes scanned the city with careful precision, and when they briefly met hers, she felt a flicker of something she did not recognize, a strange mix of awareness and quiet confidence. She quickly looked away, reminding herself not to indulge in such thoughts. "Welcome to Valara," she said, her voice steady. "I am Officer Leora, your liaison during your stay." The human nodded politely. "I'm Captain Nathan Cross. It's an honor to be here." His voice was firm but not loud, filled with a confidence that did not demand attention but earned it naturally. Leora noticed the way he carried himself, the subtle discipline in his movements, and she felt an unexpected respect for him. Over the next few hours, Leora guided the delegation through the city, explaining the history of Valara, the technology they used, and the social customs. She observed each human carefully, noting their reactions. They were curious, asking questions, sometimes skeptical but always respectful. Nathan asked questions that went beyond the surface, showing insight into strategy and ethics. Leora found herself drawn into conversations she did not expect, discussing tactics, history, and even philosophy. Each exchange left her thinking long after the words were spoken. Later, the delegation was scheduled to visit the Valaran training grounds. Leora led them through the massive open area where soldiers practiced combat and agility drills. She demonstrated a series of maneuvers, flipping and dodging with precision, while maintaining perfect control. The humans watched, impressed by the speed and fluidity of her movements. Nathan stepped forward when the demonstration ended. "May I try?" he asked. Leora blinked. Most humans lacked the physical conditioning to even attempt such drills. Yet she saw no hesitation in his eyes. "You may," she said cautiously. Nathan moved with careful, precise steps, mimicking her movements as best as he could. He was slower, less fluid, but there was a determination in every action, a willingness to learn and adapt quickly. Leora found herself watching more closely, analyzing how he adjusted after each mistake. There was an instinct there, a raw intelligence that no Valaran training alone could teach. By the end of the session, Nathan had earned her nod of approval. "You have potential," she said simply. He smiled, a small but genuine gesture, and it left a mark she could not easily forget. Later that evening, Leora returned to her quarters. The city lights of Valara shimmered like liquid glass, and the twin moons reflected softly on the towers. She sat by the window thinking about the humans she had met. Nathan's presence lingered in her mind, not as a threat but as something fascinating, something she could not ignore. She knew her hesitation was rooted in caution, yet she could not deny a growing curiosity, a sense that perhaps humans had qualities worth exploring, qualities she had never seen in her own kind. Her communicator buzzed, signaling a message from the council. "Observation report required. Comment on human delegation behavior." Leora sighed and tapped the device, typing quickly. "Delegation is disciplined, respectful, and highly adaptable. Captain Nathan demonstrates exceptional potential. Recommendation: further interaction encouraged." She hesitated before sending it, thinking of the unspoken words she could not include. Days passed, and the humans continued their visit. Leora found herself assigned to Nathan repeatedly, accompanying him on tours, missions, and discussions. Each encounter revealed more about human ingenuity, resilience, and courage. Nathan's presence was calm yet commanding, never forceful but undeniably influential. Leora began to question the biases she had held, wondering if her people had been too cautious, too rigid in their beliefs about humans. During a field exercise designed to test cooperation under pressure, Leora and Nathan were paired together. They were tasked with navigating a dense forest, avoiding hazards, and recovering a data module from a simulated danger zone. The forest was alive with motion, the plants reacting to their presence, and the air filled with subtle energy currents. Leora moved swiftly, her instincts sharp, but Nathan's strategic thinking complemented her skills perfectly. He predicted changes in terrain, suggested alternative paths, and offered support when needed. At one point, a branch snapped under Leora's foot, sending her stumbling toward a hidden pit. Nathan reacted instantly, grabbing her arm and steadying her. Their eyes met for a brief second, and something unspoken passed between them. A recognition of trust, a bond forming without ceremony or ritual. Leora's heart raced, though she quickly reminded herself to focus. This was training, nothing more. Yet she could not deny the spark, the feeling that this human was different from all others she had observed. By the end of the exercise, they had completed the mission flawlessly. Leora noticed the way Nathan glanced at her, a mixture of respect and quiet pride. She felt a warmth she had never experienced before, a connection that was both thrilling and confusing. Back at the city, Leora returned to her quarters again, her thoughts racing. She realized that her hesitation was fading, replaced by curiosity and something more, an interest she had never felt before, a sense that perhaps bonding was not only about following tradition, but about choosing someone who inspired trust and admiration. Nathan, in his calm, steady way, had shown her that humans were not just unpredictable. They were capable, courageous, and honorable. As she looked out over the city once more, Leora made a silent vow. She did not yet know where this path would lead, or if bonding with a human was truly possible, but she would not let fear or tradition dictate her heart. Something about Nathan had ignited a spark within her, a spark that would not be easily ignored. The twin moons rose higher, casting silver light over Valara. Leora stood at the window, feeling the stirrings of change. The soldier had arrived, and with him came a challenge to everything she had believed. For the first time, Leora allowed herself to wonder, could this human be the one to teach her the meaning of true connection? The answer was uncertain, but for the first time in her life, Leora felt the thrill of possibility, and the hesitation that had held her for so long began to fade. The morning air on Valara was crisp, carrying a faint hum from the city's energy network. Leora adjusted her uniform and scanned the training grounds. Today's assignment was different from the usual drills. She and Captain Nathan Cross would accompany a team of Valaran scientists to study a rare energy anomaly outside the city limits. It was a mission that required careful coordination, quick thinking, and physical skill, a perfect opportunity to observe Nathan in action under real pressure. As they prepared to depart, Leora noticed the subtle tension in her own body. The closer she worked with Nathan, the more she felt an unfamiliar awareness, her mind alert to his movements, her instincts tuned to his presence. She quickly dismissed the thought. She was a trained officer, not a human companion. Yet there was no denying the spark that had begun to form during their training exercises. The transport hovercraft lifted smoothly, carrying them across the glowing landscape. Leora studied the horizon, where the anomaly's energy pulses shimmered like ripples in a liquid sky. The human soldiers aboard the craft watched with curiosity, while Nathan quietly reviewed mission protocols. Unlike the Valarans, he didn't rely on simulations or calculations alone. He assessed the environment, observing subtle patterns and adapting in real time. Leora found herself impressed yet again. Upon landing, the team quickly moved toward the anomaly's epicenter. The terrain was jagged, with crystalline formations jutting out at odd angles. Energy waves danced along the rocks, creating unpredictable currents. Leora led the way, moving with agility and precision. Nathan followed closely, guiding the human soldiers with calm authority and occasionally offering advice that surprised even Leora. Suddenly, a surge of energy pulsed through the ground, causing a section of the rock formations to shift violently. One of the human soldiers stumbled, and the others froze in hesitation. Leora's reflexes kicked in immediately. She grabbed the soldier, pulling him out of harm's way. Simultaneously, Nathan acted. He assessed the shifting rocks and directed the team to a safe path, his voice steady and commanding. Leora watched him closely, noticing not just his skill but the ease with which he inspired trust. The humans responded to his instructions without hesitation, and even the Valarans followed his lead in critical moments. For Leora, it was a revelation. Humans were not just unpredictable. They were adaptable, resilient, and capable of leadership in ways her people sometimes overlooked. As they approached the heart of the anomaly, the energy pulses intensified. Leora and Nathan moved together, instinctively coordinating their steps. When a sudden surge knocked a crystalline spire loose, Nathan's hand shot out, steadying Leora before she could fall. Their eyes met briefly, and for a second, words were unnecessary. Trust had formed between them, silent but undeniable. "Careful," Nathan said, his voice calm but firm. "These formations respond to pressure. Step lightly and follow me." Leora nodded, following his lead. They navigated the area carefully, finally reaching a platform of stable rock near the anomaly's core. The scientists immediately began scanning the energy pulses, while Nathan and Leora observed the surrounding environment. "This is fascinating," Nathan said, crouching to inspect a crystalline structure. "The energy isn't just reactive, it's intelligent, almost like it's observing us." Leora raised an eyebrow. "Intelligent energy?" Nathan smiled slightly. "Not alive, perhaps, but responsive. Like it adapts to our movements. If we misstep, it reacts. It's almost as if it's testing us." Leora considered his words. Her people had long studied Valara's natural energy phenomena, but she had never seen anyone interpret it with such insight.
Nathan's perspective was different, yet it worked.
She found herself thinking, perhaps humans can teach us more than we realize. The team continued their study, and as the hours passed, Leora noticed subtle moments where she and Nathan moved in unison. When a small energy spike threatened the sensors, Nathan reacted instantly, shielding her while recalibrating the instruments. When a loose rock shifted beneath them, Leora adjusted her steps to match his movements, creating a rhythm that seemed almost instinctive. By the end of the mission, the anomaly had been successfully mapped and the team returned to the hovercraft. Leora felt an unfamiliar warmth, a sense of accomplishment that was deeper than simply completing a task. It was tied to their cooperation, the trust they had built, and the silent understanding that had begun between them. Back in the city, Leora found herself walking alongside Nathan through the glowing streets. The evening air carried the scent of exotic flowers and energy particles that shimmered in the light. Nathan glanced at her, a faint smile playing on his lips. "You moved well today," he said, more coordinated than I expected. Leora allowed herself a small smile. "And you?" "Led without command." "That was impressive," he shrugged modestly. "I follow where I need to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But today, it worked." The simplicity of the conversation, free from formalities and judgment, made Leora realize how much she had come to value his presence. She had begun to question her hesitation, wondering if her reluctance to bond with a human was based on fear rather than reason. Nathan had shown her courage, intelligence, and calmness, qualities that her people often overlooked in humans. The next day, the council requested a formal report on the mission. Leora accompanied Nathan and the delegation to the council chambers, a grand hall of crystalline light. The Valaran elders listened intently as Nathan explained the observations using clear, concise language that impressed even the most skeptical council members. When it was Leora's turn to speak, she found herself praising not only the human delegation, but Nathan specifically. Captain Cross demonstrated exceptional leadership, judgment, and adaptability, she said. His cooperation ensured the mission's success, and his actions reveal a depth of insight that is rare, even among Valarans. A murmur ran through the council. Many elders were cautious of humans, viewing them as emotional and unpredictable, yet they could not deny Nathan's performance. Leora's words carried weight, her reputation as a skilled officer giving her credibility. After the session, Nathan approached her privately. "You spoke highly of me," he said softly, not boastfully but with genuine curiosity. "I spoke the truth," Leora replied. "You earned it." For a moment they simply stood together, the hum of the council chamber fading into the background. Leora felt a pull toward him, subtle but undeniable. It was a feeling she had never experienced with any Velaran, a mix of admiration, trust, and something more. Yet she kept her thoughts guarded. She was a Valaran officer, bound by duty and tradition. Bonding with a human had always seemed impossible, and she could not ignore the caution that had guided her for so long. Over the next few days, Leora and Nathan continued to work closely. They trained together, studied Valara's environment, and shared observations about each other's cultures. Leora found herself laughing more often, appreciating the humor and perspective Nathan brought to even mundane tasks. She began to notice details about him, the calm confidence in his voice, the way he observed and adapted without hesitation, and the quiet respect he showed to everyone around him. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the city, Leora found herself walking along a crystalline bridge overlooking the central energy spire. Nathan joined her and they watched the lights dance across the water below. "It's beautiful," Nathan said quietly. Leora nodded. The words caught in her throat. "Yes, it is." She hesitated, then added, I didn't expect to enjoy working with a human so much." Nathan glanced at her, a small smile playing on his lips. "Neither did I, but sometimes expectations change when you meet the right person." The words lingered between them, and Leora felt a warmth spread through her chest. She realized that her hesitation, her doubt, and her fear were slowly fading. Nathan had shown her that humans were not just unpredictable. They were capable of courage, loyalty, and understanding. And in that moment, she allowed herself to wonder if perhaps the bond she had avoided for so long might not be impossible after all. As they parted that night, Leora returned to her quarters with a sense of quiet anticipation. The city lights shimmered through the window, reflecting the changes stirring within her. The soldier had arrived, and with him came a challenge to everything she had believed. For the first time, Leora felt a flicker of hope, a feeling that perhaps she could trust, perhaps she could connect, and perhaps, just perhaps, she was ready to take the first step toward something extraordinary. The twin moons shone brighter that night, casting silver light over Valara, and Leora allowed herself to imagine the possibilities ahead. She did not yet know what the future held, but she felt the stirrings of change within her, a sense that the soldier had awakened something she had long kept hidden. For the first time, hesitation and curiosity walked hand in hand, guiding her toward an unknown but promising path. The council chambers were silent, the soft hum of Valara's energy systems filling the vast hall. Leora stood at the center, her posture straight, her eyes focused. Beside her, Nathan Cross waited calmly, his expression steady but alert. Today, the council had summoned them for a formal evaluation, a test of their compatibility, skill, and trust. While Leora had spent weeks growing curious about humans, she knew the council did not share her perspective. Their mission was clear: prove that a human and a Valaran could work together in perfect coordination. The elders explained the test. The chamber transformed instantly, holographic simulations projecting a dense urban environment under siege. Alien drones, fast, unpredictable, and highly intelligent, moved through the city, simulating a threat to civilians. Leora's task was to navigate the area, neutralize the drones, and protect key points, all while relying on Nathan as her partner. "This is not just about skill," one elder intoned. "It is about trust, intuition, and cooperation. Any failure may be seen as proof that humans are not fit for bonding with Valarans." Leora's heart tightened. The pressure was immense. Yet she glanced at Nathan, who nodded subtly. His calm presence steadied her nerves. "We can do this," he whispered. "Together." The simulation began. The urban hologram buzzed with activity. Vehicles, buildings, and civilian holograms created a realistic environment. Alien drones appeared, moving with speed and intelligence. Leora's instincts took over. She dodged the first wave of attacks, countering with precise maneuvers that reflected years of training. Nathan followed her lead, moving with surprising agility for a human, and neutralized several drones using both strategy and timing. As they progressed, the council observed closely. Every decision, every action was recorded and analyzed. Leora realized that this test was not only about combat skill, it was about harmony, the silent communication between two beings who might one day bond. She glanced at Nathan, noticing the way he anticipated her movements, the subtle corrections he made without speaking. For the first time, she felt an unspoken connection, a rhythm that existed between them, invisible to others but undeniable to both of them. A sudden surge of drones attacked from above. Leora leapt to avoid the first strike, only to find another drone charging at her flank. Nathan reacted instantly, intercepting the drone mid-flight and diverting its path. "Watch your left," he called, his voice calm but commanding. Leora adjusted her movements, impressed by his foresight. Humans were often unpredictable, but Nathan's actions showed careful calculation and instinctive coordination. She realized that trust was no longer a choice. It was necessary. She relied on him fully, just as he relied on her. The simulation became more complex. Collapsing buildings, shifting terrain, and sudden energy surges tested every skill they had. At one point, a holographic building began to crumble above them. Leora moved to shield a civilian hologram, but a falling spire threatened her path. Nathan grabbed her arm, pulling her to safety, then quickly neutralized the threat. Their eyes met for a brief second, and in that instant, Leora felt something deeper than trust, something that went beyond the test itself. They reached the final stage, where the core of the city was under direct assault. Drones surrounded them, and multiple civilian holograms were at risk. Leora and Nathan moved seamlessly, covering each other's weaknesses and combining their strengths. Leora's speed and agility complemented Nathan's strategy and precision. Each step, each action, was a testament to their growing connection. The last drone approached, fast and aggressive. Leora feinted left, drawing its attention, while Nathan circled behind, neutralizing it with a precise strike. The simulation ended immediately after, and the cityscape dissolved into the council chamber once more. Silence followed. The elders studied the data, their expressions unreadable. Then, slowly, one of them spoke. "Your performance exceeds expectations. You have demonstrated skill, coordination, and mutual trust. It is rare to witness such synchronization between a human and a Valaran." Leora allowed herself a small exhale of relief. She glanced at Nathan, who smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and humility. "You did well," she said softly. "Likewise," he replied. His eyes, calm and steady, held hers for a moment longer than necessary. There was an unspoken acknowledgement, an understanding that this moment had changed something fundamental between them. After the test, Leora walked through the city streets with Nathan. The air was calm, the twin suns setting in the distance, casting long shadows and golden light over Valara's crystalline towers. Leora felt a strange combination of relief and exhilaration. The test had not only proven their capabilities to the council, but it had also revealed the depth of their compatibility. "You were incredible in there," Leora said, glancing at him. Nathan shook his head modestly. It's easy to be coordinated when your partner is this capable. You're extraordinary. Leora felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. It was not just praise. It was recognition, respect, and perhaps something more. She had spent weeks hesitating, questioning whether a human could ever be a true partner. Nathan had shown her that humans were capable of courage, intelligence, and loyalty on a level equal to her own people. That evening, Leora returned to her quarters, but sleep did not come easily. She replayed every moment of the test, every glance exchanged, every action taken. Her mind wandered to the possibility of bonding, not just as a tradition, but as a choice made from understanding and respect. She realized that her hesitation had been rooted in fear, in prejudice, and in the unknown. Nathan had changed all of that. The following days brought new challenges. The Council assigned Leora and Nathan to a joint mission with the Velaran Defense Forces to test real-world cooperation. A rogue faction on the outskirts of the city had been attempting to steal energy cores, and it was their responsibility to stop them. As they approached the mission site, Leora noted the rugged terrain and the unpredictable behavior of the rogue forces. Nathan moved confidently alongside her, giving instructions to the human soldiers while coordinating silently with her. The mission required split-second decisions, and the synergy they had developed during the simulation became invaluable. When a sudden ambush occurred, Leora's instincts and Nathan's strategy combined seamlessly. She diverted an energy blast while Nathan disarmed a trap. Their movements were synchronized, almost like a dance, each step anticipating the other's actions. By the end of the mission, the rogue forces were contained and the energy cores were secured. The Velaran soldiers whispered among themselves, impressed by the cooperation they had witnessed. Later, as they walked back to the city, Nathan spoke quietly. "You and we work well together, better than I expected." Leora smiled faintly. "I used to think bonding with a human was impossible. Now, I'm not so sure." Nathan glanced at her, his expression unreadable but thoughtful. "Perhaps it isn't about possibility. Maybe it's about trust and understanding. That's what makes a bond strong, not species or tradition." Leora felt her heart lift at his words. She had spent so long fearing the unknown, fearing connection, that she had never imagined a human could inspire the same feelings she had reserved for her own kind. Yet Nathan had done exactly that, without force, without expectation, just through courage, respect, and presence. That night, Leora sat by the window of her quarters, gazing at the twin moons. The city below shimmered with lights, reflecting the energy of Velara and its people. She thought about the council, the test, and the mission. Each had challenged her, but each had also revealed something vital: the possibility of trust, understanding, and connection with a human. She realized that her hesitation was fading. Nathan had shown her that humans were not simply unpredictable. They were capable of loyalty, courage, and insight. More than that, he had earned her trust in a way no Velaran had ever done. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a bond, not as a duty but as a choice, as a partnership founded on mutual respect and understanding. The twin moons rose higher, casting silver light across the crystalline towers. Leora allowed herself a quiet smile, feeling the stirrings of change within her. Nathan had arrived, not just as a soldier or a human visitor, but as someone who challenged her perceptions and awakened a possibility she had long denied. For the first time, hesitation and hope coexisted. Leora knew that the final decision, whether to embrace this bond fully, was still ahead. Yet for the first time, she felt ready to face it. The soldier had shown her a path she had never considered, a path toward connection, trust, and perhaps something even more extraordinary. The morning light of Velara was soft and golden, filtering through the crystalline towers of the capital city. Leora stood at the top of the observation deck overlooking the central plaza. Today was different. Today was the final evaluation, the mission that would determine if she and Nathan could officially form a bond. The council had prepared a scenario designed to test everything they had learned: teamwork, trust, courage, and the ability to adapt under extreme conditions. Nathan approached quietly, his presence calm and steady. "Ready?" he asked. Leora nodded, feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. "As ready as I'll ever be." The council's chamber projected the mission scenario into the city streets below. A rogue alien faction had breached the outer defenses and threatened critical energy nodes. The simulation was extensive, covering multiple districts with realistic hazards, unpredictable enemy tactics, and civilian holograms in need of protection. Leora's task was clear. She and Nathan must neutralize the threat, protect the civilians, and secure the city's energy cores. The scenario began. Immediately, drones and rogue units moved through the streets with speed and precision. Leora leapt into action, her movements a blur of agility and strategy. Nathan followed closely, directing human soldiers with efficiency, while seamlessly coordinating with Leora. Each step, each action, reflected the trust they had built over weeks of missions and tests. A sudden attack came from above. A group of rogue drones descended toward a cluster of civilian holograms. Leora acted instinctively, creating a shield with her energy suit to protect the holograms, while Nathan intercepted the drones with a calculated strike. The council watched closely, analyzing every decision, every motion. Leora noticed Nathan's eyes briefly meet hers, a silent communication passing between them. No words were necessary, they were in perfect sync. As they advanced through the scenario, a section of the city began to collapse under an energy surge. Buildings shifted, streets cracked, and the holographic civilians scattered. Leora and Nathan moved swiftly, covering each other's weaknesses. Leora neutralized drones that threatened Nathan's flank, while Nathan redirected troops and created safe paths for her to move. Their coordination was seamless, a dance of strategy, skill, and trust. At one point, Leora found herself cornered by a rogue unit near a collapsing bridge. Nathan reacted immediately, leaping across a gap to intercept the threat and pulling her to safety. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow. Their eyes met, and Leora felt a surge of emotion, gratitude, admiration, and something deeper. She realized that her hesitation, the fear that had held her back from humans, was gone. Here with Nathan, trust was not a question. It was a certainty. The final phase of the scenario required securing the energy core at the city center. The rogue faction had concentrated their forces, creating a gauntlet of obstacles. Leora and Nathan moved together, instinctively covering each other's blind spots. Leora's agility allowed her to bypass traps and neutralize drones, while Nathan's tactical mind anticipated enemy moves and guided the team. As they reached the core, a massive energy surge threatened to destabilize the area. Leora's quick reflexes protected the core's perimeter, but she knew she could not hold it alone. Nathan moved beside her, coordinating with the human soldiers and using his own strength and precision to stabilize the core. Together, they neutralized the final threat. The mission concluded successfully, the holographic city safe, the energy core secured. Silence filled the chamber as the council reviewed the outcome. Leora and Nathan stood side by side, catching their breath, their eyes meeting briefly with quiet understanding. The test had not only demonstrated their skills, but also the depth of their trust and cooperation. Finally, one of the council elders spoke. "You have exceeded all expectations. Your performance shows skill, coordination, and mutual trust that is rare, even among Valarans. It is clear that you have formed a connection based on understanding, respect, and courage. This bond is worthy of recognition." Leora felt a wave of relief and pride. She glanced at Nathan, who smiled faintly, his expression calm yet proud. For weeks she had hesitated, unsure if humans could ever truly connect with Valarans in the sacred way her people expected. Nathan had shown her that connection was not about species or tradition. It was about trust, loyalty, and shared purpose. Later, outside the council chambers, Leora and Nathan walked together through the city streets. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows and painting the towers with golden light. Citizens moved about, unaware of the significance of the day, yet the energy of Valara felt alive and vibrant. "You were amazing today," Leora said softly, her eyes reflecting the sunlight. Nathan shook his head modestly. "We were amazing. You and we work well together. Better than I expected." Leora felt warmth in her chest. I used to hesitate to doubt humans. But you've shown me that courage, loyalty, and trust can cross any boundary. You've changed my perspective. Nathan's expression softened. And you've shown me the strength and wisdom of your people. You've also shown me that connection isn't about rules or expectations. It's about choosing to trust someone completely. The words hung in the air, quiet but powerful. Leora realized that her hesitation had finally disappeared. The bond she had avoided, feared, and doubted was no longer an abstract concept. It was real, present, and undeniable. Nathan had earned her trust, respect, and admiration, not through force, not through ceremony, but through every action, every choice, and every moment they had shared. That evening, the formal bonding ceremony was held in the central plaza. Valarans and humans alike gathered, their energy reflecting the significance of the occasion. The council acknowledged the partnership, praising their cooperation, courage, and mutual understanding. Leora and Nathan stood together side by side as the ceremony commenced. Leora took a deep breath. She remembered the hesitation that had held her back for so long, the doubts and fears she had carried about humans. None of that mattered now. What mattered was the trust, the understanding, and the bond they had forged through shared challenges and unwavering support. Nathan reached out, taking her hand gently. "I trust you," he said, his voice steady and sincere. "And I trust you," Leora replied, feeling a calm certainty she had never known before. The council's blessing was formal, but the real significance was personal. For Leora and Nathan, the bond was not just a tradition, it was a choice, a commitment forged through courage, respect, and understanding. As the ceremony concluded, the plaza erupted with quiet cheers and glowing energy, reflecting the approval of those who witnessed the union. In the days that followed, Leora and Nathan continued to work together, exploring both the city and the surrounding regions. Their partnership became a symbol of unity, a demonstration that humans and Valarans could achieve extraordinary things when they trusted and respected each other. Citizens watched them with admiration, inspired by the courage, loyalty, and cooperation they embodied. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the city, Leora and Nathan stood atop a crystalline bridge overlooking the central spire. The city lights shimmered below, casting reflections on the water and crystal surfaces. "You've changed my life," Leora said softly, her eyes meeting his. "And you've changed mine," Nathan replied. They stood in quiet companionship, watching the moons and the city that had become their shared home. The bond they had formed was more than a ritual. It was a connection built on trust, courage, and understanding. Leora felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that her hesitation had been replaced by certainty, and that the soldier who had entered her life had opened the door to a future full of possibility. As the night deepened, Leora allowed herself to imagine what lay ahead. Adventures, challenges, and discoveries awaited, but she no longer faced them alone. Nathan was by her side, not just as a soldier or a human visitor, but as a partner, a friend, and someone who had earned her trust completely. For the first time, hesitation was gone. What remained was hope, courage, and the promise of a bond that would endure. Together, Leora and Nathan stepped forward into the future, ready to explore, protect, and build a connection that bridged two worlds, proving that trust and understanding could overcome fear, tradition, and doubt. And in the glow of Valara's twin moons, their bond shone brighter than any energy in the city, a symbol of unity, trust, and the extraordinary potential of partnership between a Valaran and a human.